My name is Graeme Williams, and my title at HOGSALT is Director of Ambience. I was originally brought on to HOGSALT as strictly as a music curator. That was my original title. They tapped me to come up with playlists and to manage all the music played at all of our different concepts, along with oversee audio installations, maintenance of audio, make sure we're doing everything we can to provide just a great audio experience, both in content and audio quality. After a few years of doing that, as we expanded, they put lights on me as well. So I do all the light programming, essentially making sure it's moody, making sure it feels good, making sure our lights adjust to the evolution of daylight as well, and just kind of, again, optimizing the visual lighting aspect of those experiences as well. So they call that ambience as a general umbrella term for the two. So I am the director of Ambiance. When it comes to conceptually laying out what we want to do musically with certain places, it's not often the same exact process. There's essentially two driving forces, which would be our CEO, founder, and myself. Sometimes going into a concept, as you mentioned, all of our locations kind of have their own unique identity. We have very few repeat stores. So sometimes our founder has an idea of what he wants to do. He knows what he wants to do right from the jump, and he'll give me some pretty good guidance of, hey, we want to do something of this era or with these elements or this tempo. Other times he has more of the concept together, but not so much the audio, and he'll come to me and he'll be like, hey, can you come up with some ideas based on these renderings that we have of this new concept? Or he may know, like, he'll randomly text me links to songs like, hey, can you make me a sampler list around this song? Here's 3 songs, can you make me a sampler that kind of like bridges these songs? So I'll make him like an hour or something, and he can say, hey, I like where you're going with this, or maybe these songs work, these not so much. So we help guide each other, so to say. I can identify maybe patterns in the songs that he's feeding me that he's not picking up on, and I can say, okay, it sounds like he really is feeling songs with acoustic bass is a thread with all these, or all of these are of a certain decade, maybe everything is very 40s centric, so there's that. And also, again, when we're just kind of spitballing, like, we spend a lot of time in the space, and sometimes it's just a matter of just feeling out the vibe and kind of DJing live a little bit and trying different things out, seeing what feels good, seeing what people respond to. As corny as it sounds, there's a bit of a sixth sense element to it where you just some stuff just feels right. So from there, something that I really and particularly take pretty serious is having a really nice large bank and library of music to use. As a patron, I'm sure, and if you've ever been in the service industry, you'll find there's a lot of restaurants that you hear the same 2 hours of music day in and day out, or if you're a common visitor, you hear the same song every other time you're in or whatnot. I try to avoid that completely. So once we kind of get a core of what we're trying to do, then I just try and keep building and blowing it up and getting as much as I can and finding different branches and entry points I can go to expand upon that initial vibe, different orbiting genres or songs that kind of fit into that. Well, it depends on the format, right? So luckily for me, a lot of our places, it's common for us to do more vintage music. So, they're not coming out with new, Ella Fitzgerald isn't dropping any new albums these days. So with those types of concepts, it's just a matter of really whittling it down and finding just the best of the best in terms of what fits for exactly what we're trying to do for those ones. And then that's just a matter of, I wouldn't even call it updating eventually. It's just like I may come across something that I hadn't before and be like, oh, this kind of fits this, and I just add to it. It's just kind of adding as I come across stuff. That said, we do have other places with more, plenty of places with modern music too. We're not chasing what's brand new quite as much by design in a lot of ways. If you kind of chase I've found if you kind of chase what's trending, then you're kind of doing exactly that. You're kind of chasing whatever's coming out, and you're just constantly chasing the wave. And also, there's a degree of, I try and curate lists that, let's say for a modern experience something that it sounds modern, it is modern, it's contemporary, but it's maybe not the most obvious top 40 something or other, because it, and people could go just about anywhere and hear what top 40 music is playing, whereas when you come to our establishment per se, they're getting something that they haven't heard before, but also kind of checks that box of the vibe they're looking for. So that creates a brand new experience for them. Like if they hear a Harry Styles song, they probably already have an association of that song with something, like maybe it was a big song during their senior year of high school, or they associate it with this group of friends or this and that. They have associations, whereas I try and kind of put music in there that creates new experiences with songs they haven't heard before, and we kind of get to create just a full unique experience. One of the reasons I've been really enjoying playing with Sound Machine is because for those lists that are a little more contemporary, I can create, as you know, stations, and I can take maybe my list and then I can mix it with a Sound Machine station that is current, and I can, obviously gauge how much of each list comprises that station, and then I kind of let Sound Machine do the work of introducing new material, so I don't really have to chase as much. I kind of let them do that lifting for me, which is nice. The stations in general is cool, depending on how wide the format might be for a location. If I have pre-made X list here that's, let's say it's 70s rock, and then I have another list here that's primarily 80s rock, let's say, I can go ahead and blend those with the mix feature rather than having to create a brand new list that's from scratch, or having to kind of pick between them. I can create these balances with multiple different genres in one, all the while having control over how much of each one is playing. That's the mixer feature I like. I also love how Sound Machine is integrated with Soundees. So I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and as technology changes, I've done a ton of work in iTunes, which subsequently became the music app. I've done a lot of work in Spotify and other streaming platforms that with Soundees, I can literally just take any form or playlists from any format that I have, and it'll translate it into a Sound Machine playlist, which is, with all the work that went into those, it's invaluable to not have to move backwards and recreate those. And with this might be more of a pump up of Soundees, but I can just, every time I add stuff to a Spotify list, it'll update it right on my Sound Machine station for me, which is fantastic too. It's very easy to add stuff. I love the scheduler too, and being able to just block out when I want different playlists to start and end at different times of days. I like being able to sign into the admin account and look at all of my locations and see what's playing, make sure they're playing what they should be playing, of course, and all that stuff. So I definitely like the monitoring and the blending and how easy it is to add music and create stuff on the fly, and integrate their lists with my lists, not only just jumbling it all together, but being able to manage how much of each one is getting airtime. And we do have one concept that is a chain called Small Cheval, which is kind of a short order burger establishment. We have probably eight or nine of them now, and they naturally all share the same format, so it makes it very easy to manage all of those locations at once by dealing through Sound Machine, rather than having to go to each one and upload music, or have them all have their own separate accounts and different things. I can just kind of jump right into my control panel in Sound Machine, and if they all share the same schedule, they all have the same hours of operation, they share the same schedule, the same station, or the same mix, it's super easy to just update multiple locations at once via that means. As far as indicators, it'd be your typical stuff. You kind of, you see people's toes tapping, or people swaying, or if it's, a more romantic location, people moving in closer, just real human behavior stuff you pick up on. You can tell from body language if people are responding. I definitely listen to can overhear people sometimes saying, "Oh, I love the song, or this music's great." I'll get some really good feedback from managers. Sometimes they'll say, "Hey, some patrons came in and they want a copy of your playlist. Like, can we share our playlist with them?" Which is always very flattering and definitely, positive feedback. Or just, watching a group get more boisterous as the energy level of the music raises. You can tell you're kind of helping dictate an experience there. As far as editing, we again with Sound Machine, it's super cool because it's easy to change the schedule to fit the curve, the energy curve. Whereas, let's say a Saturday night, we might pick up faster and have a longer busy streak than we would on a Tuesday night, let's say. And if, let's say, it's starting to get nicer outside in the summer and we're starting to get busy earlier, I can just easily, if I have the day, let's say, broken down into an early evening playlist, mid-dinner playlist, and a late night playlist, I can just change where those start and stop with a mere click with the way it's set up in the scheduler. So we can kind of trail the seasons as those fluctuate. We have a lot of help from the partners we work with. I'd say our audio contractors, we work with a company called Pineapple Audio, who we're very pleased with, and they'll let us know in new concepts. Hey, there's this new playback device that we're getting good results with that other clients like. If you'd like to try this, or obviously there's new speakers and rack equipment and stuff that they'll introduce to us. Word of mouth stuff too, we get, like anyone, you just come across stuff randomly surfing the net, or if X device or configuration fails, just do some online searching and finding what works. A lot of trial, research and development, trial and error. Try a few things, use the one that you like best, and that works across the board, whether it's music or lighting. I've messed with a lot of different services and options for our playback in recent years, and I'm very pleased with Sound Machine compared to all those with a lot of the reasons that I pointed out. For specifically for how we operate and how I operate as a curator, they offer very reliable, easy to use software. The interface is easy to use. They have a huge library of material. I know I've found that moving from different services to other services, some have bigger libraries of songs than others, and Sound Machine has as big a library as anybody. In fact, I think they rival Spotify. They're right around in the same ballpark of how much music is available. And for someone like me who mines really deep to get as much as I can, I really appreciate being able to find as much possible music as I can.